Do you think the characters in The King of Queens left the set and lived happily ever after? Absolutely not. They had histories of substance abuse, collapsed in hospitals, struggled with broken marriages, and ended their lives in quiet deaths that shocked the world. You wouldn't believe this is real life. Jerry Stiller as Arthur Spooner. Gerald Isaac Stiller was born on June 8, 1927 in New York. He was 71 years old when he played Arthur Spooner in the series The King of Queens from 1998 to 2007, portraying the eccentric, grumpy, but still loving father of his daughter, Carrie. But behind the laughter, his life was full of sadness, with long years of exhaustion trying to hold on to a family that seemed to be on the brink of collapse. His marriage to Meara, his co-star and partner of more than 60 years, went through a terrible storm as both their careers faltered in the early 1980s. Taunts, canceled contracts, and a disillusioned audience pushed them to the brink of divorce. Jerry himself admitted that he felt so hopeless that he was about to lose the only woman who had ever made him feel worthy. They clung to each other, to start over, and because they feared losing the one person who had stood by them through countless theater productions and casual dinners. While luck smiled on them again with Seinfeld and then The King of Queens, Jerry still couldn't escape real-life tragedy. Meara fell ill and passed away in 2015, leaving him to wallow in loneliness. In his later years, Jerry clung to his son Ben Stiller, taking on a few supporting roles in Zoolander as a way to fill the emotional void. But his health was failing, and he was heartbroken after losing his creative soulmate and lifelong partner. Jerry Stiller died on May 11, 2020, at the age of 92 of natural causes, bringing a bitter end to a life filled with both glory and tragedy. His estimated net worth of $14 million, which includes an apartment on the Upper West Side and a collection of classic cars, is the result of a lifetime of saving, sacrifice, and perseverance through countless hardships. He has become an unforgettable icon of American comedy. Meara as Veronica Olchin. Meara was born on September 20th, 1929 in Brooklyn. She was 70 when she joined The King of Queens in 1999 as Veronica Olchin, Spence's strong but sensitive mother, who later became Arthur Spooner's wife in the series finale. Few people knew that behind the spotlight, Anne's life was full of tragedy and silent pain. At age 11, the pain of her mother's suicide was seared into Anne's memory, leaving her in a loneliness that would last throughout her childhood. When she married Jerry Stiller in 1954, Anne struggled with depression and alcoholism, especially in the early years of their marriage, when both their careers were in flux and the constant arguments seemed to be destroying everything. Although they eventually found fame together, Anne quietly felt overshadowed afterward, as Jerry found his way back into the limelight on Seinfeld and The King of Queens, while she struggled to regain her former glory. Over the years, Meara continued to act, write, and appear in Sex and the City, but deep down she never escaped her insecurities and fears of being forgotten. Her health deteriorated after a series of strokes, and she moved into the Hebrew nursing home, ending her long and exhausting quest for fame. Even with her family by her side, Anne could not hide her loneliness like an old wound that never healed. She died on May 23, 2015, at the age of 85 of natural causes, carrying with her a lifelong grief. She was buried in Manhattan, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $12 million, much of it tied up in the apartment she shared with Jerry Stiller. Kevin James as Doug Heffernan. Kevin James, whose real name is Kevin George Nipfing, was born on April 26, 1965 in New York. He was 33 when he shot to television stardom as Doug Heffernan, a chubby, lovable delivery guy who constantly finds himself in awkward situations on the hit sitcom The King of Queens, from 1998 to 2007. The show ran for 9 seasons, earning him an Emmy nomination and opening the door for him to enter the ranks of Hollywood A-listers. However, few people know that behind that laughter is a challenging journey. As a teenager, Kevin dreamed of becoming a professional wrestler, but a serious spinal injury ended his sports career before it even began. This pushed him into a period of crisis and mild depression. It took him years to discover his passion for comedy as a form of healing. After The King of Queens, Kevin continued his success with the romantic comedy Hitch, 2005, starring Will Smith and then Paul Blart, and Mall Cop, 2009, in which he played a bumbling mall security guard, a role that earned him over $180 million worldwide despite being panned by critics. In real life, Kevin has been married to Filipino model Stefiana de la Cruz since 2004, and they have 4 children together. However, the pressures of fame, body image, and health issues left him battling obesity and chronic high blood pressure, forcing him to lose serious weight after 2015. Kevin is a devout Catholic, attends church regularly, and hosts faith-sharing sessions with other artists. He has sometimes been criticized for playing it safe or playing it silly with comedy, but he has never lost the love of the public. As of 2025, Kevin James is 60 years old and still alive, continuing to perform stand-up comedy and produce content for the Amazon Prime platform. His estimated net worth is around $100 million, mainly from film projects, television royalties, and advertising deals. Doris Roberts is Marie Barone. Doris May Roberts was born on November 4, 1925, in Missouri. She was 74 when she appeared in The King of Queens in 1999, playing Marie Barone, the cunning, meddling, and intelligent mother who had become synonymous with her on Everybody Loves Raymond. A comedy icon with 5 Emmy Awards, Roberts wowed audiences with a performance so authentic that people both loved and hated her. But behind the glamour, she lived a life of pain and quiet struggle. After her father left when she was young, Doris grew up in poverty, cared for by a single mother, and had bitter memories of hardship, even working as a typist to support her family. Her later marriage to the writer William Goyen was also fraught with pain, as his infidelity left deep emotional scars. She juggled everything, raising her son and maintaining a career in an industry that was obsessed with youth, all the while watching close friends die, leaving her in a quiet loneliness. Despite widespread acclaim, Roberts never truly escaped the feeling of being forgotten by Hollywood, especially as she entered her 80s and battled strokes and pulmonary hypertension, forcing her to fight every day to continue acting. She continued to appear on screen in films like Medea's Witness Protection and in cameos on The Middle, as if determined to prove that she was not yet defeated. But inside, Doris struggled with time and her reputation faded, leaving a void that would be difficult to fill. Doris Roberts passed away in her sleep on April 17, 2016, at the age of 90, ending a life of dedication and love. She was buried at Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $14 million, including a luxury apartment and a valuable art collection. Florence Henderson as Lily. Florence Agnes Henderson was born on February 14, 1934, in Indiana. She was 66 years old when she played Lily in the movie The King of Queens in 2000. Florence conquered the audience with her role as Lily, a model mother, strong and full of optimism. But behind the spotlight, her life was a long series of struggles and sufferings that few truly understood. Florence's first marriage to Ira Bernstein ended after nearly 30 years, leaving her to raise 4 children alone as her fame began to fade. When she entered into her second marriage to hypnotist John Kappas, she found herself in even greater emotional strain as Kappas suffered from serious health problems, which led to Florence falling into depression and a crisis of faith. Her loneliness deepened as she watched many of her contemporaries pass away. And when the Hollywood spotlight faded, it left a void that was hard to fill. In her later years, Florence continued to make regular appearances, such as on Dancing with the Stars in 2010 and hosting a cooking show, always with a beaming smile. But behind the scenes, she quietly battled heart disease. Her health gradually declined until she died suddenly on Thanksgiving 2016 at the age of 82, just days after arriving on set to cheer on her former co-star Maureen McCormick. Her estimated net worth was around $10 million, including a cozy, welcoming home in Los Angeles, a final testament to her resilience and lifelong passion for her craft. She became the mother of America in the hearts of millions. Gavin MacLeod as Uncle Stu. Gavin MacLeod, born Alan George C., February 28, 1931. He made his debut on The King of Queens in 2001 at the age of 70 as Uncle Stu, a charming guest star. Few knew that behind his warm smile and calm demeanor was a life filled with quiet regrets and simmering pain. MacLeod endured several failed marriages, including a bitter divorce from his first wife, followed by a second marriage that also failed, all before he found his faith as his ultimate anchor. The instability of these relationships left him feeling lonely for years, especially as he approached old age. Despite his glory days, his greatest fear was being forgotten, something he increasingly felt as his Hollywood fame faded. In his final years, Gavin MacLeod lived quietly at his home in Palm Desert, California, struggling with his failing health. Fame brought him an estimated net worth of $10 million, but it could not fill the emotional void left by fading friendships and loves. He eventually clung to his religious faith as a final source of comfort for a wounded soul. MacLeod died on May 29, 2021, at the age of 90. Ending an extraordinary journey for a television star who also carried within him the darkness of loneliness, a reminder that fame is never enough to fill an empty heart. Peter Boyle as Frank Barone. Peter Lawrence Boyle was born on October 18, 1935 in Pennsylvania. He was 63 when he joined King of Queens in 1998, playing the tough but loving father Frank Barone, a role that made him a household name for millions of people on Everybody Loves Raymond. Behind the scenes, Peter Boyle's life was filled with unspeakable stress. Despite a stable and fulfilling marriage to Lorraine Alterman, their relationship was not without its struggles as Boyle battled heart disease and recurrent multiple myeloma, which at times left him emotionally overwhelmed. A devoted father, he was haunted by the fear of leaving his two daughters too soon, especially as his health deteriorated and he could no longer devote himself fully to his craft. In his later years, Boyle tried to maintain his passion by taking on supporting roles and appearing in heartwarming films, but his increasingly failing health made it difficult for him to maintain the same level of performance as in his prime. His impending death, combined with the pressures of his work, weighed heavily on him, creating an inner sadness that was in stark contrast to the humorous, strong characters that audiences remember. Peter Boyle died on December 12, 2006 in a New York hospital at the age of 71. He left behind an estimated net worth of $8 million, including the home he shared with his family in the bustling city. A monumental artistic legacy was completed, but also overshadowed by illness and anxiety, a reminder of the fragility of an artist facing the many challenges of real life. William Hurt as Dr. Tabor William McCord Hurt was born on March 20, 1950. He was 52 years old when he appeared in The King of Queens in 2002 as Dr. Tabor. With his deep voice and soulful eyes, Hurt was once hailed as a Hollywood icon of the 1980s. However, behind that illustrious career were many bitter and painful shadows. William Hurt's private life was marked by many cracks. 2 divorces and a series of relationships left him with 4 children, but also deep unresolved tensions. Abuse allegations from Marlee Matlin, along with legal battles with his ex-partner Sandra Jennings, cast a dark cloud over his reputation and nearly drove him out of Hollywood. He chose to retreat into seclusion, living in a house in Oregon, where his final years were consumed by loneliness and illness. Hurt has been battling metastatic prostate cancer for years, enduring both physical pain and the mental torment of old wounds that have never truly healed. On the outside, people still call him a star. But on the inside, William Hurt is a broken soul burdened with the feeling of being forgotten by the very industry that once celebrated him. He died on March 13, 2022, at the age of 71, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $8 million, along with a peaceful home in Portland, Oregon. Hurt's death marks the end of a memorable but also arduous artistic journey, a reminder that stage glory is never enough to soothe the silent wounds in the heart of a lonely artist. Kirsty Alley, as herself, Kirsty Louise Alley, was born on January 12, 1951 in Kansas. She was 55 years old when she played herself in the 2006 film The King of Queens. Talented, sharp, and charming, Kirsty became one of the icons of American television in the late 20th century. But behind the glamour, her life was marred by emotional scars and lingering tragedy. 2 failed marriages left Kirsty feeling lonely, even though she had 2 adopted children by her side. Years of struggling with her weight and intense public scrutiny took a toll on Alley, sometimes causing her to lose faith in herself. When she turned to Scientology for peace, she faced alienation from many of her friends due to the controversial nature of the religion. Despite her fame and wealth, Kirsty often struggled with a lack of true love and genuine acceptance. Kirsty returned to shows like Fat Actress and Dancing with the Stars. But as her health declined, she was diagnosed with terminal colon cancer just months before she died in Tampa in December 2022, at the age of 71. The disease ravaged her body so quickly that she didn't get to say goodbye, and she passed away, leaving her family and colleagues in deep grief. Her estimated net worth is around $40 million, which includes a luxury home in Clearwater, expensive cars, and an antique collection. Harold Gould as Irv Glassman. Harold Vernon Goldstein, better known by his stage name Harold Gould, was born on December 10, 1923. He was 77 when he appeared in The King of Queens in 2000 as Irv Glassman, a character who epitomized the classic grandfatherly, gentle, thoughtful, and warm character that Gould played in hundreds of roles throughout his career. Famous for his stellar performances in series such as Rhoda and the Golden Girls, he was always loved by audiences for his elegant and sophisticated style. But behind the fame, Harold Gould secretly harbored frustration, feeling underappreciated. Throughout his long career, he was rarely cast in leading roles, and his artistic heart was repeatedly broken by his yearning for a moment of full glory. The pressures of making a living and his demanding work schedule also caused a rift in his marriage to his wife, Leah, although they remained together until the end of their lives. In his final years, Gould was consumed by a long battle with prostate cancer, which left him weakened and unable to sustain his passion for the stage. In solitude, he immersed himself in unpublished memoirs, as if searching for meaning in a career he felt was unappreciated. With each passing role, a new void formed within him, leaving Gould tormented by the question of the true value of a life of dedication. Harold Gould died on September 11, 2010, at the age of 86. He left behind an estimated net worth of $1 million, including a peaceful cottage in Woodland Hills. It was a sad end for a talented artist who spent his life portraying loving fathers and grandfathers, characters who touched the hearts of generations, though his contributions are often forgotten. Shelley Berman as Skitch. Sheldon Leonard Berman was born on February 3, 1925 in Chicago. At the age of 78, he appeared in The King of Queens in 2003 as Skitch, bringing with him the witty charm that has made him a household name in the modern sitcom world. Berman also made a lasting impression on audiences with his role as Larry David's father on Curb Your Enthusiasm, earning him an Emmy nomination in 2008. Behind his comedic facade and successful career, Shelley Berman's life was filled with emotional wounds that never fully healed. His marriage to Sarah Herman lasted more than 7 decades, but the couple suffered a great deal of pain when their only son, Joshua, died of a brain tumor at the age of 12. The trauma plunged them into a crisis that weighed on their hearts for the rest of their lives. Berman often confessed to feeling guilty for not being able to protect his son, a wound that haunted him like a ghost in his mind. Berman's career also suffered major setbacks, most notably a 1960 scandal in which he was secretly recorded having a temper tantrum backstage, a moment that shattered his carefully cultivated image as a witty storyteller. He then struggled to find his footing, clinging to television roles to remind audiences that he was still relevant. His final years became even more difficult as Alzheimer's disease gradually took away his memory, turning his once sharp intellect into a shadow, leaving Berman silent and alone. On September 1st, 2017, Shelley Berman passed away at her home in Bell Canyon, California, at the age of 92, ending a long and tumultuous life filled with pain. His estimated net worth of $2 million could never fill the emotional void, especially the loss of his son, which he carried with him for decades. An artist who once brought laughter to millions quietly departed the stage, leaving behind a creative legacy marred by personal tragedy. Peter Scolari as Ron. Peter Thomas Scolari was born on September 12, 1955. He was 47 when he appeared in The King of Queens in 2002 as Ron, a witty supporting character reminiscent of the familiar style Scolari had developed from his days on Bosom Buddies and Newhart. Throughout his career, he also made his mark on major projects like HBO's Girls, which earned him an Emmy for his portrayal of a warm but jaded father. Despite the attention, Scolari has endured painful personal struggles. He grew up in a violent and dysfunctional family with a strict, repressive father and a mother who struggled with alcoholism. These psychological scars followed him into fame, contributing to his struggles with bipolar disorder and substance abuse. 4 failed marriages and sometimes distant relationships with his children left him with lingering feelings of guilt and helplessness, even as his professional work continued to be respected. As he entered his twilight years, he was diagnosed with leukemia, sapping the energy and hope of a man once full of energy and passion. Scolari continued to work and engage with his art, but deep down he was bitter about feeling forgotten by Hollywood, never reaching the heights he had dreamed of. Even his stellar cameos couldn't fill the emotional void of a deeply wounded soul. Peter Scolari died in Manhattan on October 22, 2021, at the age of 66, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $2 million, including the modest apartment he lived in during his final years. It was a devastating end for a talented artist who was deeply insecure about his true worth in a cutthroat and forgettable industry.